Hello my friends, Boomy here once again with another video for you, my SWTOR brothers and sisters. Yes, brothers and sisters, to Mr. Commenter out there, I do play Star Wars The Old Republic, smish, mish, mosh. Anyways, my friend, we're going to be doing something different. There's not much news to talk about, but we're going to do a reaction video to my dear friend, a friend of the channel, to Aubrey the Weird One. Go follow her on YouTube. All the information will be down below, right there where things are down. But she did an amazing video talking about Star Wars The Old Republic and where she sees it's going right now. And before we get into it, some of you people are gonna be like, she didn't nail all the other topics, dude. And I'll be like, she's doing a surface level part of it, and I think she nailed everything on the head. Some people are just not as entrenched as Birdface, my dear friend, said to me, that some of us are. And that's totally fine, but I love seeing more people coming out there going, something's wrong, and we need to talk about it. There it is. So let's get into what Aubrey has to say. She's a big Lord of the Rings online person. In fact, Aubrey, if you're watching this, and I know you are, I've downloaded it. And yes, Boomy's going to enter Middle Earth. Okay, guys, let's go.
What in the heck is going on with SWTOR? Star Wars The Old Republic is an MMORPG, and it quite literally has been a pretty thriving one until the more recent years, if you ask me personally, just because of a lot of different reasons,
correct,
which I will get into with this video. However, it is definitely a fun MMO that I've always enjoyed. It definitely has, made a lot of changes over the years. But I think the one thing that really stands out with SWTOR is that you can obviously go through some really cool stories, and the story really impacts a lot of people. However,
100%, right off the bat, I think we all can agree that the biggest thing with Star Wars The Old Republic is its story. People play this game not just because of Star Wars. Well, mainly, yes, Star Wars dovetailed with, I don't know what I'm doing there. That it's Star Wars story, Star Wars saga, The Old Republic. People play this game for story. Nailed it.
I will just say personally, from my experience, the reason why I haven't been playing SWTOR or really had any sort of inkling of desire to want to play it is because I have been keeping up with the game's news, and I have actually noticed that it's kind of hard to play a game that's so heavily focused on story when there's no story. What I mean by this statement is essentially that I haven't really seen a good substantial story added to this game for around 3 years now, if I'm being honest. We can go over the last 6.
What else can we say about that? I mean, one could argue 6 years that we've been dealing with Malgipoo and this storyline. It's been a long time.
Expansions, but overall, the runtime of these expansions and the content associated with them is really hardly anything crazy. Players are essentially like waiting a whole year to hopefully get a sizable expansion where you can do a lot more things. You can quest for longer, you can have new raids or flashpoints and all of that fun stuff, obviously. But when your story content is only going to be about an hour's worth of time, well, why would you wait a whole year to play for just 1 new hour of content? I don't really personally want to wait that long, and that's sort of why I personally just haven't played the game. Now, obviously, there are a lot more.
I think we're going to be pausing a lot because she's nailing this. I think that she is very much coming from the regular player of Star Wars The Old Republic, someone who loves the game, but we're not getting tons of anything. We're getting filler content, but we're not getting anything meaningful. So I think in what we have been seeing is people are just not playing the game anymore, because why do we have to wait a year for an hour or so for content, or waiting even longer for content? A lot of people leave games because of that, and the game grows stagnant, and the devs are over there wondering, what happened? Where'd everyone go? It's all their fault. It's all the players. No, they didn't understand. It's nuanced, okay? Yeah. Yeah, I think she's nailed it, and I think she's coming from a great perspective. And, yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can say, but I will.
More factors into it that I just quite literally don't understand because I've been too far away from the game, and I'm sure other creators can explain it more in depth. But I just have noticed so many negative videos about SWTOR lately. It's actually, like, crazy. Like, I think I think the game is, I think it's dying because the community is the only thing keeping it alive. And the community is like, bro, we got nothing to give now. Like, we have no hope. Like,
I mean, 100%. She's 100% correct on that. So there you go.
People who haven't been around SWTOR need an explanation as to what is going on. I can at least give you some of the cliff notes and just some of the big things I feel like are important to note about the game and why it's declining so hard even within its own community. So back in June of 2023, SWTOR did announce that they are actually going to switch around their studio, their development team. Pretty much the executive producer of SWTOR, Keith Koenig, he just outright said it and said that they believe that Broadsword is the right studio to continue to enhance and modernize their game and also expand the number of people who can play it. We are excited about the future of SWTOR, and once we get our feet firmly planted at Broadsword, we look forward to sharing plans for game direction and improvements. Until then, rest assured, all the current plans are in motion. Pretty much BioWare, EA, they were like, we're going to step aside, well, at least in the development side, and Broadsword would take over for developing the rest of this game. So I was actually pretty hopeful just because I knew with the direction of the game, how it was working, the way that the story content was just overall going, it wasn't really looking good even at this point, which I'll go back to in a little bit about maybe why that was. But just overall, this is where I started to personally have hope for the game, and I think a lot of people did. Maybe.
No, I think she's right. A lot of people did. I saw it all over social medias. There's a part of me that did, but I was very cautionary about it because it's Broadsword, and yeah. But there are a lot of people. I saw it everywhere. A lot of people had hope and were like, "This is it." You know, BioWare's fumbling up their own stuff. We're going to take SWTOR away from them so they don't fumble up this game, and it's going to be hunky-dory. It's going to be great. I saw that from major content creators for the game. I saw that for everyone, people hyping it up like crazy. I think a few of us other content creators, you know, the black sheep of the community, were just sitting back going, hopeful pessimism. Going, I hope so. I truly do. We will be watching. And yeah, and what she'll get into, but look at where we are now.
Possibly, I don't know. Anyway, there was some hope, at least through my perspective, and I would say I think there's hope for many SWTOR fans that they were hoping for a little bit more from the game because it kind of was on a decline just for a lot of different reasons. I know something I really wanted to get back into personally with SWTOR was the PvP, but even the PvP has really fallen apart, which I realized it's because they got rid of ranked.
Dumbest move ever.
You know, there were reasons for that. A lot of people were saying it has to do with like people were cheating. It was just too much to keep up with. It just was pretty much too much work. But either way, it was gone. I feel like they lost a lot of
too much work for the
consistent
devs.
Players through that. But not only that, it just seems like a lot of their story just genuinely kind of fell apart. Let's look at the story expansions for SWTOR.
Pay attention to this, guys.
Something I want to note is that look at how many like different expansions were going on. I mean,
I'll hide my camera.
We don't really count strongholds and stuff. Like, I don't even know why these are on here. But a lot of the prime expansions, or where they had a lot of content, to me was in the 2014 to like 2016 era. I did really like the whole, Valkyrian storyline. That was a lot of fun to me.
I did too.
I know a lot of people don't really agree with that, but personally, just as a fan, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I felt like the content was there. Was it repetitive? Yeah, a little bit, but
it was.
I still enjoyed it. But
I thought it was really good. I really liked it.
To Onslaught. Now, I think something to keep in mind too was that they were definitely continuing with putting in some sort of content. It wasn't like Knights of the Eternal Throne hit 2016 and then they did nothing for 3 years. They were still updating the game. In fact, they had like Iocath, and there was a whole story on Iocath.
I liked Iocath.
A lot of things with Umbara. Like, there was so many like small story content updates, and it just all kind of was pointless. And what I mean by that was like you do so much to, go out and about and, take on an entire like war essentially. And then you come back to some of these smaller stories where they're important and they were fun to me. It's just, they're not really full of content at all. Like, if any. You pretty much had like this really big buildup, and you like had the whole galaxy at your whim, and there's so many choices you can make and changes that could affect outcomes for people, or, you know, choices in your own story. But I think that when we were going back to the smaller stuff, like on Iokath, or, you know, the Crisis of Umbara and other small story updates, they were great, and they were coming out at least yearly, but like they just weren't fulfilling. It was kind of like, we have content, but there wasn't any like thing happening. It was a lot of buildup, and there was really no execution. Then welcome in Onslaught. I don't know if you guys watched any of Onslaught or paid attention to the expansion.
We all know, and I've said it before numerous times, but I was there at the Cantina at Star Wars Celebration, and I streamed their announcement for Onslaught, and they hyped the ever-living F out of this expansion. And SWTOR does this great thing, and Aubrey even mentions this in the video, where they are very, very good at hyping crap up, but not being able to fulfill the hype, you know, at the back end of it. So, and I was listening to UntiniCast, and might we pause this for a little bit? UntiniCast, literally, I think one of the last SWTOR, like, principally, this is just what we do, SWTOR podcast, had their last episode last week or so, or a couple weeks ago. So, RIP UntiniCast. It's really sad that another voice for the community has shut their doors. The guy still stream on it. Listen, we didn't get along all the time, and that's fine. But mad respect to these guys for 509 episodes and for everything they did for the community. So, party on to them. But I was listening to one of the episodes, their last episode today, and Dr. Gamermology, who I suck at names, was talking about how it's a psychology thing, right? And I think he was right in that devs, they need to hype stuff and market stuff, right, to grab and get people to come in. But once they hook them, the true trick is retention and keeping them and giving them stuff, giving players stuff to come into and find meaningful content to digest and open our wallets for. And that's the biggest balancing act, is not just getting them through the door. One could argue that's the easiest part of the gaming industry. It's keeping and retaining your player base, and that right now SWTOR is doing a horrible job at doing. But again, shout out to the UntiniCast bros out there. Thank you guys for your service. We got you.
But pretty much it looked really cool. So I personally thought in 2019 it was going to be a great expansion, but
we all did.
Killer. Guess how long it took people to complete the Onslaught expansion?
This is the sad part.
The Onslaught expansion content, which includes the story missions and related activities, take roughly 2 to 3 hours to complete for each of the 2 story paths, Republic and Empire. And if you don't want to believe the AI, it's fine. You can literally look at Reddit. Like, everybody's like, yeah, it's about 2 hours, about 2 hours, about 2 hours. So you've waited 3 years for a next major update. I'm not saying that there weren't other updates happening. It's just that they were small stories, or pretty much would unveil a new planet, which was great. But, you know, there wasn't just that much to the story. It was, you know, maybe an hour at most. But you, like, hype up this expansion. You have
like, you literally got done with it if you didn't run into the bugs that didn't allow you to do it, right? I remember doing that. I got caught in a bug, and I'm just like, how do I get out of this zone? And I dropped it until they fixed it. But she's right. And the biggest problem was, once you were done with it, there was nothing new to do.
It looks so cool. You're going to bring in big players again, and it's 2 hours? If I had to wait 3 years for 2 hours, I mean, I pretty much did, kind of. I was in and out, but like, it wasn't worth the wait. Just personally, I didn't really like the expansion. I ran through it so quickly. It felt like a blur. There wasn't much that happened. There's so much buildup, and you're like, oh my gosh, things are getting great. And yeah, nothing really happens.
Kind of like when you talk to people on the internet, and they're like, yo, baby, you know how big this is? Yeah, you want to see it? What? Let's meet in person, yeah. And then they're like, oh, Really?
After that, which seems to be a reoccurring theme. Anyway, a lot of people were disappointed by how short it was, and of course I understand where, you know, SWTOR could be coming from, and I too definitely defended them. In fact, I'd be like, well, you know, you gotta understand they're doing voiceovers, and you know, they have so many different options and so many outcomes that there's so much that they need to record that, you know, in order to get it together, it's
not wrong.
Gonna take a while, you know? So anyway, we got 2 hours, which took us 3 years to get. Guess how long another 2 hours took for us to get? Oh yeah, Legacy of the Sith. Another 3 years. In celebration with the 10-year anniversary, Legacy of the Sith was revealed at the...
And we're not even gonna talk about the debacle that the 10-year anniversary was. But she's one... Preach, sister.
8th major expansion on July 2nd of 2021 in a live stream. And yeah, it continues with Onslaught. There were other little stories. Again, they did have other, like, you know, small updates where they included more stuff. There was more prevails and things that just have to keep building up. There's so many things still that we have to keep going with in the story and build up for the next expansion. But did they ever, like, explain it and get anywhere in the expansion? No. Honestly, let's be honest, they do an alright job with building the story, because I am a little, like, hooked into what's going on with a lot of different factions. There's a lot going on with the Mandalorians and Shea Vizsla. There's stuff going on with Malgus. There's even stuff going on with Satele, which is crazy. They even did a little thing for
where
her.
Is
but
Satele,
it's like,
Sean,
it's
these
just
days?
So interesting how they can just build. But there's like nothing to be done with it. They just, you know, they're just like, oh, well, it is what it is. We'll address this in some expansion, but when? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But another big thing was that they had to delay it. Obviously, it was supposed to release on December 14th. It didn't get released until February 15th. That's really not too bad, if you ask me. But it came out, Legacy of the Sith, and you guessed it, Legacy of the Sith expansion is a relatively short story, clocking at 1 to 2 hours in the main story. And if you don't believe the AI, Game Rant as well says 2 to 3, and it consisted of slightly lower quality writing. Well, that's being generous if you ask me. Pretty much more build-up, there was no execution.
And you'll notice that once Charles Boyd left, and Caitlin and Ashley took over, and the writing team took over, the writing for this game, the quality of it, did really go downhill. The writing of this game, it's lacking the edgy luster that it had when this game first launched, that it had during the Shadow of Revan's days, hell, even the Hutt Cartel, during the Knights of the Eternal Throne, Knights of the Fallen Empire. After that, the writing really started, after 6.0, the writing really started to go downhill. And we're to a point to where, and we're so far in between story content, no one who truly actually remembers what all is happening right now in this game. She's bringing up some great points.
Of things, and yeah, they've come out with a few minor updates since, but there has not been any sort of talk, any release of anything for a major expansion from this game, I guess, since Legacy of the Sith came out. Since 2022. It's 2025. Where the heck's our 1 to 2 hour expansion at, man? I'm waiting. The time's ticking. Now, story is a big part of any game, but if you fail to release any, I guess, substantial story, heck, it don't even have to be that good. If you can at least give players something to play, then you've got a game. But unfortunately, it just seems like over the years anyway, that SWTOR has just gone down the line of pretty much just trying to push people not really to subscribe for the sake of the content, but just to keep paying stuff out of their cartel market, which is essentially like their cash shop. I've seen so many videos on this. I would recommend you guys do a whole deep dive on it, but pretty much like the cartel market has so much just crazy stuff in it. If you want to make a cool looking character in SWTOR, you can definitely do it. It's just going to cost you out of your own dang pocket, because that's really the only good way to, you know, get cartel coins, because you can't really earn them in this game, at least not in an increased rate whatsoever. And it's just overall like just a huge cash grab, if you ask me. Can you at least take the money I'm giving you and give me a story or something? Anyway, if you just look up SWTOR, you can look into it. My friend Birdface, he actually did a whole like just rant
Birdface
about the last
shout
live
out.
stream. That's where a lot of people are upset, because the last live stream in particularly just really aggravated people. Just to sum it up for you where we are today, a lot of what has happened is that, you know, we're due for some sort of story update, some sort of expansion.
Someday.
You should at least release a yearly story update, which hasn't been the case, but Broadsword said that they were going to do it around 2024. They were going to talk about it at the end of the year and possibly, you know, show a little bit. But that time came. They pretty much said, hey guys, we have tons of new cartel market stuff for you, but you know, the story, we're going to have to postpone it. So we'll definitely, you know, talk about this more in March of 2025. Well, it's March of 2025. They went on their official live stream and said, oh, that story update. Yeah, I don't even know what you're referring to. Let's take a look at our new cartel market stuff.
Almost
and then
as
they did
bad,
actually end up addressing the story. But yeah, there's no update into it, and they just said we need more time. But they didn't really address it. A lot of the issues from players just really seem to be that they don't really feel like they're being heard. And in fact, I know there's a lot of just stuff going on with their community manager where it just doesn't even seem like their community managers even, you know, listening to them anymore. I mean, it's hard to even talk to your community manager, who's supposed to be your main source, essentially, to listen to your feedback and at least be there to hear you out on things. And I think that's just where a lot of SWTOR players are coming from. And they're like, well, if you're not going to listen to me when I'm trying to...
Yes, and that is something we are seeing with these modern audience, philosophically aligned community managers. They are the front lines, and they should not only listen to praise, but they should listen to critical feedback and all that jazz, and not just run away to a blue sky and a different social media platform where everyone there is allowed to talk to them and respond, but only certain people are allowed to respond to them on X. That's not a good community manager, and you're seeing that all over the place. Like I said, with the modern audience, bent people out there, community managers especially. I honestly believe sometimes community managers can be some of the most toxic gamers out there, if they're even gamers.
To, you know, at least give you feedback for a game I love and care about, then I'll make a video about it. I'm sure I'll be listened to then. And I can't blame people for doing that. Overall, it's just really disappointing to see that there's no story update. It's just so much of a cash grab anymore. And I can see why players don't want to play the game and are just, at this point, kind of trashing it. I mean, long story short, guys, the game's simply dying, and people are trying to fix it. They're trying to at least give Broadsword some sort of idea of what they want. But not only that, they just want to be heard.
Yep.
And it doesn't even sound like they're being heard anymore, which is just really upsetting. Like, I would be so distraught if this ever happened in some of my most favorited games. I mean, heck, I'm a little distraught that SWTOR is like this, and it's, you know, in a really poor state right now. But that's just overall kind of like the main things of why players are just so upset about what's going on with SWTOR. There's just really no growth in the game anymore. And really the only growth that they really seem to be paying attention to is, you know, the cartel market, aka the cash shop, or there was date nights. I was excited about date nights, but even those were like 5 minutes, so I played it once and was over it. There's a lot more going on, and there's so much more to the story when it comes down to like the development team and, you know, just things that the development team have said, even off of their live streams, that didn't really sit well with people. So I would definitely recommend you check out some more of the SWTOR videos to get a clearer idea of what's going on for people who have been playing the game more often. But in the meantime, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think SWTOR is a dying game, or do you think that there is still hope for it? I don't know, but all I know is that personally, I'm not going to be playing the game anytime soon. Maybe like an hour or two just randomly when I really want to play it, but then I'll remember that there's nothing really going on that's new in the game, so why bother? Until next time, you better stay weird, you weird weirdos.
I mean, what more is there to say? I think Aubrey nailed it with this, and yeah, sorry, that's just not a good look. We'll just go back over here. That is still not a good look. That's better. I think Aubrey, she came out with some great, amazing points like we discussed during this video. And I think more people who have played this game, who are content creators, need to come out and be more honest about it. I see in the comment section a lot from people who you just get that general feeling that they're just either A, not ready to let go, or B, they don't want to see that the only game they really ever play and that they love is rotting from the inside. They don't want to see that. And part of change is we have to come and we have to accept that kind of stuff. And then we come out of that little shell, and then we have to ask the question, well, where do we move forward? Where do we go from here? And that's where SWTOR also needs to ask that same question, where EA needs to ask that question. Where are we going to go from here? I think I still have hope for this game. I still think there's stuff to be salvaged in this game. But it's really sad to see where this game is. It's no longer Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's Star Wars: The Old Republic, Legacy of the Cartel Market. That's where we are. That is your new expansion, everyone. The updated Cartel Market. And the bosses for your new operations are the bundle packages. That is pretty much what you're getting. And it's really sad, and I do hope it changes. I really, really, really do hope that it changes. And I think more videos like this need to be done to keep the devs' feet in the fire. Yeah. So either they change or the game dies. That's the roads they're going to take. And if the game dies, it's not the player's fault. It's the developer's fault. How much more can we as players do, right? How much more can we say when they just want to stick their fingers in their ears and not listen to its community, listen to its paying customer? One would think, and I was thinking about this today, that a game that needs to make money from a smart business sense would do everything it can to entice people to play and retain them, because those people are the ones who are going to be more willing to spend real life money because they're stuff that is a great investment. But as they've been doing, they try to hook you in, and when you get in, you realize, oh hell, there's nothing here for me to do anymore. I mean, there's only so many times someone can redo the old operation over and over and over and over again. Just saying. Either way, my friends, go follow Aubrey the Weird One on all her socials, on YouTube and all that jazz, Twitch. She's a live streamer as well. Go do all the things. Great, beautiful person, friend of the channel, and I thought she did a great job. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this video? And what do you think she had to say? Be nice, be smart, and be awesome. Anyways, my friends, hit that like button, that share button, and that bell notification button. And hey, do you want to have early access to videos and a monthly podcast? Why not become a member to the channel? It quite literally leaves the lights on. And either way, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of the family here at Boomy Nation, to Freak Show YouTube, the black sheep of gaming. And as always, my friends, remember to be kind. It's about community, and don't forget to spay and neuter your Wookiees. We'll see you later, my friends. Good day.
Tales on every shore. Hit that button, ask for more.